Hi, my name is Samaria Hicks, and I'm here today to share what I think is the most important scientific breakthrough in history. There was a man named Vivian Thomas, and he was actually the first person to discover how to do the tetralogy of Fallot surgery, which mends the hearts of cyanotic babies. The time period that he was living in was about the 1930s and 1940s, like the Great Depression era, and there was still a lot of segregation going on. So when people would see that he was with this doctor named Dr. Blaylock and trying to figure out how to achieve this surgery, they just couldn't believe it because people thought like black people didn't have the capability or the ability in general to be that smart and do anything of that higher level of higher order thinking. So he was first working as a janitor in a facility, and then he came upon Dr. Blaylock's lab when he was cleaning. So he started looking through books, and Dr. Blaylock saw him, so he started questioning him on different tools used in the lab and stuff. And Dr. Blaylock realized that Vivian Thomas was actually very smart. He was very educated, so he decided to start working with him because he felt like Vivian Thomas was capable of doing things at the doctorate level. And so he started tutoring Vivian Thomas in anatomy and physiology, and before you know it, Vivian Thomas, he rapidly learned all these different medical techniques and researching methods as well. Also, he was still being paid as a janitor. Like, he wasn't even getting paid at the doctor level in this time period. So one day, Dr. Blaylock was approached by a doctor named Dr. Helen Taussig, and she was asking him if he'd be willing to figure out how to perform the tetralogy of Fallot. So the first step to achieving this was Dr. Blaylock had Vivian Thomas try to figure out how to make a dog cyanotic so he could practice how to achieve this surgery, because obviously for ethical reasons we couldn't perform it on a human first in case it didn't work right off the bat, which it didn't, and it took a lot of tries. But then once Vivian Thomas figured out how to make the dog cyanotic, they would perform the surgery on the dogs just to make sure like it would work if it was on an actual person. And after like going through 200 dogs, they discovered that it was lethal to do on a person. So that's when the surgery was assigned to get done on a cyanotic baby who had been in the hospital ever since she was born, basically. So the day of the surgery eventually came, and Dr. Blaylock was the one who actually performed the surgery, but Vivian Thomas was standing on the step stool right behind him, telling him every step of the way. So the surgery ended up being very successful, and from then, more people brought their babies in for their hearts to be mended, because obviously the surgery was successful. Dr. Blaylock and Dr. Taussig, they got credit for the Blaylock-Taussig shunt, and Vivian Thomas received no credit whatsoever. In Dr. Blaylock's writings, he did not talk about Vivian Thomas at all. So I just wanted to share that because it's a very interesting story. I just learned about it this year in anatomy class, actually, and this was the first thing that came to mind when I read the question. It's just really important to know that Black history is American history too. Like, Black history is not its own thing, and that more black people are recognized for their achievements, because it's not fair that these two doctors who, yes, they performed the surgery, but this man actually came up with how to perform the surgery, and he did not receive any credit until many years later when he was older. So I just wanted to share how important I think that is, because obviously now there's a surgery to cure cyanotic babies, and that's a huge thing, because cyanosis was a very main reason a lot of babies were dying back during those times. So yeah, that's what I think is the most important scientific breakthrough, and I hope that I get selected for this scholarship. Thank you.